Knowledge is power. Information is liberating. Education is the premise of progress in every society, in every family. Good afternoon, Honorable Resource Person, respected Vice Principal, professors, other dignitaries, and my dear participants. I extend my heartiest welcome to each and everyone present here on the third day of National E-Workshop on Research in Psychology and Behavioral Sciences, organized by the Department of Psychology of Yuvakshetra Institute of Management Studies, Palakkad, Kerala. Yuvakshetra Institute of Management Studies is the fulfillment of educational venture envisioned by the Diocese of Palakkad. Our college was launched back in 2005. Within a short span of time, Yuvakshetra has emerged as one of the premier institutions of higher education affiliated to the University of Calicut, Kerala. The present workshop will enable the researchers to have conceptual understanding, essential skills to conduct a research based on empirical data, and enable themselves in turning their final research work into publishable study materials. I am Ritvika Ramal of third year BSc Psychology assigned to host this session officially. I would like to give a set of instructions that needs to be followed by the participants during the workshop. Only limited participants will be admitted to join us on Google Meet. The rest of the participants can watch live stream on YouTube. Please ensure to mute your audio and video before you join via Google Meet. Participants can join using the YouTube link provided in the Telegram group each day prior to the session. Attendance is compulsory for all the sessions in order to receive the certificate. The attendance link will be posted towards the end of each session in the chat box. The feedback form will be shared in the chat box towards the end of the last day's session. Participants can post doubts or questions in the live chat window of YouTube or Google Meet. Selected questions will be answered at the end of the session by the resource person. Remember to maintain online etiquette throughout the session. Now, let us proceed with this workshop by praying for positive thinking. For presenting the prayer, I call upon Ms. Harsha S. of second year BSc Psychology. Harsha, please.
ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾರತಾರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಬೆಳಗಣಿಯೇ ಕರಿಸು ಎಷ್ಟ ಕಷ್ಟ ಬಂದರೂ ಹೃದಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲಿಸು ನೂರು ನೋವು ಇದ್ದರೂ ಸದಾ ನಗಲಿ ತಿಳಿಸು ಹೇ ಗುರುವೇ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯ ಉಣಿಸು ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾರದಾರಿಯೆಲ್ಲ ಬೆಳಗಣಿಯೇ ಕರಿಸು.
Thank you, Harsha. I would now like to request Ms. Ashwati M., Assistant Professor, Department of Psychology, to kindly welcome the gathering. Ma'am, please.
Good afternoon to all. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Okay. Respected dignitaries, honorable guests, fellow colleagues, students, and participants, we have reached to our third day of our national e-workshop. I feel really honored to welcome you all for taking a keen part in our 5-day national e-conference in research in psychology and behavioral sciences, organized by Department of Psychology, Yuvakshetra Institute of Management Studies. First of all, I would like to welcome our Vice Principal, Reverend Dr. Lalu Olikal, a person who always have supported our department. Welcome, sir. Then I would like to extend a special welcome to our guest of honor, our today's resource person, Mr. Raghavendra Prasad Shetty, Assistant Professor, Department of Psychology, Reva University, Bengaluru. He'll be dealing with the topic on research design and sampling methods, and we are really lucky to have the presence of such an experienced person in our event. I kindly welcome you, sir, to this event. Next, I would like to welcome our HOD, Head of Department, Mr. Jit George, and our coordinator of this event, Mr. Sanat Thomas. Welcome, sir. And also, I would like to welcome our student coordinator, Amarda Jacob. Last but not the least, welcome all the participants for this event. I am sure you will feel enriched with knowledge after the completion of this event. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful words. And now, I would like to invite our respected Vice Principal, Reverend Dr. Lalu Ulikil, to kindly address the audience. Father, please.
Respected dignitaries, dear participants of this psychology webinar, and my dear friends. As you know, psychology is the fast developing branch of science. We can say to a certain extent, every day there will be some innovations, some new discoveries, and some study results in the field of psychology. That means this topic is really advancing every day. Since the topic is advancing every day, we need certain research, design, and we have to pay attention to many aspects when we make the sampling methods. And today's webinar, arranged by the Department of Psychology of Quota Institute of Management, is on research, design, and sampling method. And the resource person is Raghavendra Prasad Shetty, Assistant Professor, Department of Psychology of Reva University, Bangalore. And I hope that he is an eminent person with a lot of experience in research, designs, and sampling methods, and he will be able to guide the participants to have a very deep knowledge on the subject. So while congratulating the Department of Psychology for arranging such useful sessions, I wish all the best to the resource person and all the participants. Let this session be an enriching one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father, for your kind and encouraging words. This is a moment we all have been waiting for. My dear friends, it's a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker today, who's going to talk to us about research design and sampling methods. Our speaker has a great research experience. He has published post-graduation dissertation related to behavioral economics. He has presented a paper titled Skill India, a path to assert prudent socio-economic behavior modification at FEP sponsored by ICSSR at Banaras Hindu University and has published it as well. He has guided many students with their post-graduation dissertation. Our speaker has an MSc in psychology and MA in public administration. He is an alumnus of Madras Christian College, Chennai, University of Madras, and SDM College Ujire, Mangalore University. He has successfully tackled UGC NET and KSET in psychology. He is a great achiever of numerous accolades, including Young Social Science Researcher Award at FEP, sponsored by ICSSR, MHRD, MOE, and GOI, on Advanced Statistics for Social Science Researchers, held in BHU, Varanasi, UP, and was also selected as a student faculty of the PG Department of Psychology of SDM College, Ujire, during post-graduation, and has also achieved many educational certifications. He is currently working as the Assistant Professor of Department of Psychology, Reva University, Bangalore, Karnataka. We feel highly honored to have him here with us. My dear friends, let's welcome Mr. Raghavendra Prasad Shetty. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. I request everyone to kindly pin his screen on your devices, kindly mute your audio and video while the resource person is speaking. Please feel free to mention in the chat box regarding the problems in clarity or connectivity during the session. Kindly post your doubts during the session via chat box so that you can get them cleared afterwards. Now, I hand over the session to Raghavendra sir. Sir, please.
Thank you, Ritvika. Am I audible? Ritvika, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
All right. Yeah. Very good afternoon, all of you. Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. By the time you tell the introduction, we will be presenting the PPT. We are having some issues.
All right. Okay. So you have already introduced me, and this is not introductory session actually. So make it quick. Okay.
Oh, okay, sir.
Well, I'll just introduce them to the topic anyway. How long you might take? Who's that? Ritvika, right? Amrita. Amrita just spoke to me right now. All right. Yeah, this effort is the byproduct of this session is the byproduct of so many efforts. So many people are involved with this. First of all, the institute, the Yuvakshetra Institute of Management Studies, and all of you, so many. And I personally want to like to thank each one of you and my heartfelt congrats for making this happen. I don't know, you have given me around 40 minutes time to explain one of the complicated topics of the academics ever, research methodology and research design. Then it's part of research methodology actually is made up of research design and sampling mainly. Okay, so this is the crux of the research methodology, where you need a very long time to explain and convince people effectively. However, I would try my best to give a glimpse of research methodology in terms of research design and sampling. So why research? Research is like every individual who are into research is like a old wine. The more you get aged in the field of research, the more experienced you will be, and the more effective you will be. So there is nothing like nothing hard and fast rule in research. However, we study research in different dimensions in terms of different sampling methods, in terms of different designs. Is only for our convenience. This one you need to keep in your mind. Now, I presume that all of you may be in different stages when it comes to research knowledge. I acknowledge that. Some of you may be, if I classify, maybe at the A grade, or some may be moderate, and some may be just the beginners. But however, it's a challenge even to speak to the experienced audience, because research is not that simple, because it's the culmination of everything. It's a culmination of knowledge, creativity, statistics, and the interest. So therefore, I would like to. Am I audible, audience? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you
Okay.
are. You're audible. Yeah.
Fine, fine. So before that, before I begin with the main important point in my discussion today, I would like to briefly tell you an incident that happened in India. That happened in 1975. The country was the first time saw emergency. It was the unilateral decision, emergency was imposed. uh, it was natural, right? When your rights are curtailed and nothing is allowed, you have no voice in your own house. It's normal that you are all there will be a resentment built up and the backlash. So that was expected. So all of you would be expecting the same thing, right? So when whichever party that maybe, if they come next time, you would definitely vote against them, vote them out. Uh, but another thing was, there was at the same time, India was not educated that much, which is as now. And what happened then was, entire world was laughing at us, like these people are uneducated people. They don't know anything about democracy. Anyway, there was that time there was only one national party, and that party is anyway going to get all the votes and coming to power next time, whatever it may be, whatsoever it may be. Even India also, people felt so. Even then, during those days, North India was not that much educated as much as we were educated in the southern part of India. So I'm not discriminating, but I'm giving you the facts. This is a fact. So when election came, so what happened? Everybody expected that India is a poor country, uneducated country. They will definitely vote for the incumbent government, whichever is ruling since 1947. But it didn't happen that way.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Your
Yeah.
volume is slightly low, so please keep your mic close.
All right. So am I, so far
Also,
you could hear me?
yes, participants are requesting to increase the volume. That's why.
Okay, so all right. The volume is full actually from my side. Okay, I'll hold this. All right.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Participants, please pin Sanet Thomas to view the PPT. Okay, thank you,
All
sir.
right. Yep. Yep. So what I was telling is, as expected, the uneducated India definitely vote for those whoever is in their conscious. So that time, since 1947, there was only one ruling government, and obviously you would vote for that. That was the expectation. And in India, it was expected that the same thing will occur once again. Surprisingly, when there was a election soon after emergency was lifted, uh, the entire so-called educated southern part, South India, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, Andhra, they have overwhelmingly voted for the party which imposed emergency unilaterally. So emergency was so cruel. Okay, that time emergency, if you go through the facts, it was so cruel. But still, being educated society, we voted for them. The so-called illiterate North India voted against the emergency. So that is how then the powerful prime minister who imposed election also lost the election. The party also lost the election. The opposition, which came together and contested election, actually came to the power. Okay, so then it was all completely against the prediction of the so-called pundits, scholars, everybody. Correct. Even the Western countries were also they were also taken aback by this phenomenon. So this is a research topic. So research is this. So when something is obvious, okay, if I'll ask you now, if I ask you whether there will be a distress in a newly married couple, obviously it is obvious thing, right? There, see, when you don't know each other, you are coming together and then you're making your life for the first time. So obviously you will face any other normal hiccups that will come between the relationship, isn't it? That is obvious. And here, what research you will do? This is this is very obvious. This is not called research. Uh, but when I said this is a field where your knowledge would come, where your creativity would come, and even the people like scholars like you matter in this. So therefore, in order to understand the research design and sampling, first of all, you need to know the purpose. Unless you know the purpose, you will never be able to understand the features of sampling. I mean samples. Who are the sample ultimately? So sample are nothing but the representative of population. If I take the first example, can you just go to the next slide? Yes, sampling definition. Please go to the definition. I'm really sorry for the inconvenience. I'm unable to share the slide from my side, my end. So we have to coordinate from the institute as well. So that is why audience, there is little lag when I'm changing the slide. Uh, Please go to the definition. So just keep this example in the background, and that would definitely take you all the way through this presentation. When I say sampling, it's a process of selecting representative units of population for a study in a research. Okay, so for a study, basically, that is called as research. Okay, so what is this representative unit of population? Representative units, it is technically called representative units, and the humanness in this is taken off. So in order to make it more neutral and appear more objective. So in that example, population is the entire country. Okay, and now you are selecting the sample. Then sample cannot be the 30 crores of people, right? So you have to select those people who can on an average represent each citizen. So if for example, if Indians feel like this, Indians are brave, so how do you say that? So do you go to each Indian and take their interviews? No. So what do? You will have the representatives, right? So there is its own methodology. So this getting the representatives through a mechanism called methodology is a byproduct of research design. You understand? What did I say? So methodology through which you choose representatives is called as research methodology, and that is the byproduct of research design. All right. So far the introduction with respect to this session is clear, and some of the important concepts that you need to know is when it comes to research. See, first of all, I want to clear. So I have to do 2020 batting here. I can't go for one day or the test match. I can't play that. So therefore, some of the things I may skip to make up with the time. But I know certain things are very nuances, and these nuances have to be highlighted, and I'll highlight that. So in that sense, I am just just briefing you about important concepts like target population, accessible population, hypothetical population, finite population, infinitive population. So population is also called as universe. That is just another name. I will not get into that debate which has to be used. You can use anything as per your convenience. So this population, when it comes to the first example I have told you, it is Indian population, entire population. Okay. So if I take your college, Institute of Management, Yorkshire Institute of Management, population means entire student community of the institute. So in this, again, there are differences. Mainly, see, this target population, accessible population, hypothetical population, all these things are for the sake of our convenience, we are actually studying. Otherwise, there are mainly two population. One is finite population and another one is infinitive population. That is again based on the nature of the number that is defined as finite population or infinitive population. Now you want to study the impact of COVID on married couple. So there you are, you cannot say whether it is finite or infinitive, because it depends on your background, the setting that you are in. Suppose you want to your population is only a district, so then it is finite. So then if otherwise, if it is Indian population, then it is infinitive, because you don't know how many of are in India, how many of them reside outside, and how many of them are married, and again in marriage, whether they are actually married or living together, you will never get these counts. Okay. So in this situation, the same population becomes infinitive population. You understand? So that is why I said research is it's like a researcher is like a world wine. As he gets experience, he becomes matured and he will understand. So same thing which becomes finite at times it will turn to be infinitive population. So that is it basically about finite and infinitive population. Target population, yes, of course, it is obvious that if you are particularly targeting some population, then it is called the target population. Accessible population, you do it normally for when it is when the population is easy to take into account for, then it is called as accessible population. Hypothetical population is your imagination. So you might say that impact of emotional stability among regular meditators. You don't know who does meditation, who doesn't do meditation. It is all just your imagination. So that way it is. Once again, there is nothing hard and fast rule in this. Anything can turn into anything, but you should know the concepts. That's all. So sampling frame, sampling design, sampling error, precision. So sampling frame is a frame, like you can consider it as a bucket. In the bucket, you will suppose your water pump is filled with vacuum and it's not working. Then what do? You have to pour some water into it, and then you have to remove the vacuum so that it starts functioning. What do? You will not just bring the entire well. It is not possible, right? It's ridiculous. What do? You will bring some in bucket. From bucket only you will use. You will not every time, you will not go to well and bring the water and pour it into the pump, and then you just try to remove the vacuum. You won't do that. What you take the water in the bucket and then use it. So similarly, if for example you can't go and meet each person in the city, that is why you will go to the directory, for telephone directory, and you use it. Say telephone directory, who will be there? Aliens will be there or what? No, same people, the citizens of that particular city will be there, right? So this telephone directory is now sampling frame. I get it. So it is again, it represents a population, but in huge number. The sample is derived from this sampling frame. All right. Sampling design is definite plan for obtaining a sample from the sampling frame. So there is a difference between sampling design and research design. Okay, research design is a umbrella term under which you will do you will plan out like how to organize the experimental group and the control group. So that is research design. Anyway, that's a second session of our discussion is that only, second part. Sampling design is what kind of sampling you are gonna use for this particular research. Then you have sampling error. So sampling error is a thing where you actually wanted to select a person who has studied his entire life in a vernacular medium. For example, Malayalam medium. You wanted people who have done engineering, but their entire schooling was in Malayalam medium. But what happens is in between, so you will define from 1 to 12th standard, it is Malayalam medium. But when you have got the samples, when you have a choice, the population also has people who have done English medium schooling after 7th, after 11th standard. So this is a sampling error now. So your definition of Malayali medium is from 0 to 12th, right? That is right from the LKG or kindergarten to 12th standard. But now in your sample, there are some people who actually have done their schooling after 8th English schooling in English medium after 7th standard. Similarly, there are people who would have done from 1st to 7th English medium, then they would have come to Malayalam medium. So this is a sampling error. You have to ensure that this doesn't take place. Then it is a precision, the range within which the population parameter will lie. Okay, students, you should know two terms basically. One is statistic, another one is parameter. Parameter is nothing but the central tendency of the entire population. Get it? If I want to know the median, the average score of the Indians in terms of emotional stability or emotional intelligence, I would go for a central tendency, that is average. I might go median, I might go standard deviation, I might go. Okay, this standard deviation of the entire population, if 130 crore people are there, you take account of all of them, and then you get this standard deviation that becomes parameter. And that is impossible to take account of 130 crore people. So what do? You go for sample. In sample, you will select the representative, and whatever central tendency, the mathematics part that you do, whatever calculations, whatever the value you get is called statistic. So in principle, statistic is the representative of population. I mean, the parameter of the population. Get it? Statistic is derived out of the samples of the same population. Get it? Now, the 100 people who have been selected and they are tested on their emotional intelligence, who are Indians, and whatever standard deviation you get here, 2.5 maybe, you will come to a conclusion that even if you take entire India's population, even India's central tendency will fall around 2.5. So this is how you come to a conclusion. So this is called precision, all right? Steps of sampling process, so many things are there in this. So you can see, identify and define target population. As I told you already, everything, whatever is of your interest, it becomes target population. There is nothing like target population per se. Then delineate the accessible population, specify the sampling unit. Sampling unit we have discussed, specify sampling method. So this is simple, you will understand. This is self-evident, in fact. Then size of the population, the rule of the thumb. There is something called rule of the thumb, and that is, I'm really sorry, I can't attend your text messages because I have to rush through the things because I have around 57 slides. So please consider this. Rule of thumb is that you always need to go for a larger sample, okay? But the reality, it is so much difficulty because it is not that easy to go for lakhs of samples, and you collect samples, and then by the time you collect the, you would have spent many years, and then the entire idea of the sample collection will be failed because the generation changes every day. And this is a day, every day you are seeing the change in the thinking pattern of people, their lifestyle, the socio-economic status, everything. So you can't take much time. So naturally you would go for a small sample size. And ridiculous thing is this. See, when the rule of thumb says you have to go for a larger population, as largest as possible. That means in India, you can go 130 crore, means 1 crore at least you should go. But at the same time, research books say that the sample size at least should be 30. So just understand the difference between, discrepancy between the in principle rule of research and reality of the research. So this will, there are ample of things in the research that you get to know only once you get into the research. So it's not just one session you attend, you will get to know everything. But the idea is this, that once you will go through all these things, this will become part of your unconscious mind. And in future, when you are into research activities, that will become easy for you to understand, because already your brain would have captured and memories would have been formed. I presume that the students are from psychology mainly, predominantly, and some I personally know who are from criminology and forensic science. Maybe some are from sociology background, whatever it is. So this is how it is, that memory is formed in your brain, and that will be useful in coming days, even if you don't grasp everything that is being discussed here, because we are not giving much time to digest and retain. We are only just having glance. So therefore, types of sampling design is this. You can see probability or random sampling design, non-probability or non-random sampling design. See, it's almost everything is similar, but the point is based on the purpose. Their the names will change. That's all. Otherwise, almost all the sampling you will do, you will not actually consider them in terms of these names, but you will only consider in terms of probability sampling or non-probability sampling, to be specific. That is a broad category. So when it comes to probability random sampling, you can see here simple random sampling. So this is the main thing in experimental psychology or experimental research. So where you will see that you ensure that, that there will not be any bias for selecting any particular individual. Suppose, for example, just assume, this is a rough estimation. We are 100 in this session. Now they want to know the impact of the session after this, after 4 o'clock. So now they can't go for all the 100. They will only go for 50 of us. Then how do they choose us? They can't just follow, whoever comes, just come in. It won't become scientific, because there a lot of things that come in where you might choose the person who is not interested, who is not attentive, who is actually was actually wanted to run away from the session, and some people who actually understood and had discussion with the resource person. And whoever gets you in first, they might be not that much interested, and you take all the 50 of them and you assess the impact of the session. So will you think that this will give the clear impression of the session as a whole phenomenon? No. So there will be bias, and there will not be equal probability of selecting anybody from the group. So that is why simple random sampling is used. So where what they do is, like, for example, if I take one technique, fishbowl technique, where 100 people's names are written in a chit and it is kept in the fish bowl. So that is used because that looks like fish bowl. So that is why that is named like that. So in that, if I want 50 of you, I'll take each one of you, and then every time I randomly pick. So I don't know who you are, what you are, anything, but there is a possibility that anybody can be selected. Ritvika cannot say that I will not be selected at all. She could be selected. This is called simple random sampling. So Amrita cannot say that I will never be selected. So, but she could be selected. This is called random sampling.
I request. Okay, sir. Sir, I request Rajshekar Salikineni to kindly switch off the video and audio. Please, sir, kindly cooperate.
Okay. Thank you, Ritvika. So similarly, stratified random sampling area that I'll be discussing anyway. Stratified random sampling, area or cluster or multi-stage random sampling, systematic random sampling. I'm just checking time. Yeah. So here, random sampling, as I explained, already I have explained this to you, and the PPT will be shared with you. Simple random sampling is the same thing, random sampling. Stratified random sampling is, what you do is you decide, okay, suppose if the area is large, like you are taking opinion of the particular district, you want to represent each area in terms of community or in terms of whatever language. Like if you come to Mangalore, Bangalore is a place, Dakshina Kannada district is a place where 4 languages are spoken. Four communities stay together, irrespective of religion and caste. So when you take sample from them, you have to stratify them into different groups, right? Into subgroups. So from there, again, you use random sampling. The only change is this, that you first decide that we will make this entire area into 4 group. From 4 group, we will select through random means. Okay, that is the only difference. So then you have a proportionate stratified random sampling. That means if you make 4 groups, 4 strata, if you want 100 samples from each 4 group of the same region, you will be getting 25 each. So that way it is. All right. The example also tells you this. At times, as per the population also, you will consider, like the reservation policies that is given in India. So it is based on the population size. I mean, different communities, how they are, how they should represent in the parliament. On the basis of this calculation, there are reserved seats for MLAs and MPs. MP contestants. So here, similar thing you can see. From 4,000 people, you will select 400. From 2,500, you will select 250. So proportionately, you will select. Okay, there is no discrimination in terms of number. If you're selecting 10,000, 400 samples out of 10,000, and again 400 samples from 4,000 population. So there is no justice, there is no equality. So in order to maintain this, in order to maintain equality of the strength, you will go for proportionate stratified random sampling. Otherwise, it is simple random sampling. So disproportionate, yes. You will not go for proportionate, that is disproportionate. Then you have cluster or area multi-stage sampling. Okay, all right. So this is somewhat similar to stratified sampling. Okay, it is mainly done. It is based on the area of research. These things are discussed. Even political science also, they also resort to researchers. And when they take electoral opinions, they would normally go for cluster sampling. Okay, so this is used in that context. So whatever is written in the textbook need not directly, excuse me, you know, come for your use, but it is just your creativity, how you are going to use it. Okay, this thing you have to keep in mind. There is no hard and fast rule in research. Only for our convenience of understanding, we are studying them by different names, and then based on our knowledge and the situation, then the purpose, we would go for different designs, and that could be tailor made. And that means you are making it, so nobody will make it for you, and nobody will say this is the perfect one, nothing like that. So everybody can give their opinion, that's all. So then systematic random sampling, it's also similar thing. Then you have a non-probability or non-random sampling method, convenience or accidental sampling, quota sampling, purposive sampling, snowball network sampling, saturation sampling, and all these things. I tell you for an example, non-probability in the sense, same example I'll give you. You are 100 member attending the session, and whoever comes first, I'll take you as a sample, and that I am doing for convenience sake. Here I am not using any scientific randomization. Okay, anybody can come, anybody can can be selected as a sample. No, we can't ensure that. It's like it's only my wish. It's like, you know, I'm if I want, I will take this person. So there is no specific scientific method I am following. So this is all about non-probability. Everything, quota sampling, purposive sampling, snowball sampling, all these things are, you know, of this nature only. So there is one thing I want to tell you about snowball sampling. It is like, you know, normally why I'm highlighting this, it is also as simple as any other sampling technique, non-probability sampling. Why I'm highlighting this is because normally these days or any other day, you will get a lot of online surveys, online questionnaire, right? That I am doing this research, please answer, please respond. So that you will get also from research scholars, students, anybody is doing it. That is what, there you don't know who you are sending to. You are actually sending it to your friend will send to your friend's friends, then it will go like that. Snowball is a concept where a snowball that rolls down from the mountain, as it rolls down, it gets bigger in size. Okay, that way. So you don't know ultimately whom it is going to reach. It can reach to even Donald Trump, you don't know. But then that is called a snowball or network sampling. All right, so this is all about sampling. So I hope advantages and disadvantages of sampling is now by far is known to all of us. Advantages, more economical and efficient. See, these are all the part I have already discussed. Implied meaning. Okay, so you can't take lakhs of people because it is not practical. One thing, you don't have that much time. Time means money, right? You don't have that much resources. Nobody will give you money and to do any kind of research for that matter. So it's your own struggle. So therefore, you have to see all the feasibilities. And disadvantages of the sampling is, you know, there is always a disadvantage, right? So you want to represent the India by taking thousands of people as a sample, then definitely there will be disadvantage. So these are the disadvantages. You go through it. So then coming to the research design, uh, what is research design? So you see, there are different steps, various different stages of a research. First thing, a doubt comes to you. Like I said in the first example, there is a, okay, I have another, how, sorry for the inconvenience audience. I just want to call in Ritvika. Ritvika, how much time I have now?
So you have about 15 minutes more.
All right, thank you. Okay, so by going with my first example, where you see, everybody got surprised when the result was like that, when the, you know, uneducated India for the Westerners, uneducated North India for South Indians. when India voted, the party which imposed emergency, um, it was all, the educated people voted in support of emergency, and the uneducated people, they realized that it is something very wrong and blot on democracy, and they voted against. Then this is a very interesting phenomenon. So then what does it mean? So education is a farce? Education has any meaning at all? So education has made all of us fools? Then what is that? Certainly these are all the general impressions we get, but this cannot be scientific view of this phenomenon that has taken place. So first thing is you find, okay, this is a problem. So on the basis of problem, you do some sort of research. So that is, once you do this, you will find certain gap there. So you will not find an answer. For that, then you formulate a hypothesis. Hypothesis is just your imagination. Maybe you might imagine something like this, that educated Indians, uh, they had no clue about any opposition party. Okay, this could be your hypothesis. You can also say that maybe South India was not aware of any other popular political party. So this could be your hypothesis. So this is, I'm not telling in terms of null hypothesis or any other hypothesis. I'm just telling you.
Raghav sir,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. You can continue till 4:15 or 4:30. We are getting a good feedback. So
All
you
right.
can continue till 4:15 or 4:30.
All
So
right. All right.
no,
Okay. Thank you.
no need to rush. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. So thank you, audience. So I got, this is a hypothesis now you have laid down on the paper. And now how do you test it? You have to test the hypothesis, right? So in order to test the hypothesis, now you go through and you do the research. You read the newspaper, you take the opinion of people, you collect the different pamphlets that were circulated during those days. You collect whether there was any distress in the in India, where people couldn't concentrate on these things, and they were all busy with their daily life making and several other things. So once you go through this thing, this is called literature review, and then you will prepare objectives. Then you identify the variables. So a variable is not part of my discussion today, but then still you try to find out, okay, so Indians were careless about, Indians were apathetic about political system. So that is, then here it is what is your variable here? So apathy could be one variable, right? And voting could be another variable. So apathy in the sense being careless. Apathy actually induced Indians not to vote. It actually induced people not to go and vote on that particular day. So that also could be one reason. So now, how, if apathy is an independent variable and the voting behavior is a dependent variable, because if you are just checking whether it is apathy that is acting on their voting behavior or not, okay, so then if you can just change the level of apathy from high level of empathy, low level of empathy, all these things, apathy, sorry, all these things, then it becomes experimental research, where you can actually, I don't know how are you going to do it, I'm just giving an example. Different level of apathy you are testing with the help of your own tools, whatever you would have developed. And for that also is, again, it's your responsibility to construct a tool in order to see the different intensity of apathy. But the behavior is the control variable. It is actually dependent variable. So you can also come to a conclusion in the end that those people who ever had apathy or carelessness towards the but they went and voted, but still they were in less number. So this was the pattern, this was the voting pattern. So I'm just giving you, just trying to contextualize in the first example that I have given to you. So this is all about deciding variables now, independent variables and dependent variables. Then you know the variables now, but you need a proper sample. What will be your sample? So you can't take the entire sample. So you have to select a sample in a such a way that it represents uh, the entire population. So there comes research design. So you will have different design then. Then after that, under research design, you will be studying. So I think, okay, I'll just go through this. What are the elements of research design? Description of subjects, observations of variable, measures of time, selection of setting, role of investigator, and all these things are the highlights of research design. Okay, so this actually I have covered in the example, even though I have not mentioned directly. So then, how will you select a research design? Level of knowledge about the phenomena. So this is this is not only related to research design. This is actually related to entire research phenomenon. You, a researcher, is like a worldwide. So your knowledge matters a lot. So that is why it is the first point, nature of the phenomena. So whether you can actually concretize the phenomenon. So if it's like, if it is like mathematics, there is nothing, if somebody says -1, you cannot show somebody -1. Okay, you cannot say that -1 apple is there. So this is very abstract, but you can say one apple is there, right? This is concretized. So similarly, you can say only when you can concretize a phenomenon. You just can't say that, okay, the um, children are spoiled because of parents' love. Now, how do you prove it? So, in order to prove it, what should you do? How do you define love? And how do you test it? All these things you have to take into consideration. It is very difficult. Then you go and test fullness and exam result. So that is very easy. So you give the exam and then you test their, you give mindfulness training, then you analyze their results after that. So it could be like pre-test and post-test, research. But in terms of when you are just telling in terms of love, the parents' love has miserably failed student or children, then you have to define what is love and all this. This is not as simple as that. So of the interest, nature of the purpose, why you need to study. See, you don't want to study something for some no reason, right? You have some purpose, and there are a lot of purposes. You have to prioritize that. So then you have ethical consideration. Yes, you have to be very you can't cheat somebody and collect the information, right? If you want to know the marital distress between a couple, you have to first tell them that you are doing such a research, and you need their consent before you take their responses. If you don't tell them anything, you just go and talk to them, or else if they have come to you for a counseling and you are noting down all of them and recording, and then you are subjecting those things for your research purpose, then it is unethical. So feasibility, obviously, whether it is possible or not. So you want to study the economic differences between the Asian and non-Asian countries. You would like to bring a psychological angle into that. You first see whether it is possible for us, because given the limitations and resources, it's not feasible, right? So that way. But if you want to know the, if you want to bring psychological angle between, different two states or two districts for that matter, or between Malayalam medium and English medium children and their performance, then it is possible. It is feasible. So validity of data, like I said, if your data is fresh, that is maximum 1 year, 2 year, then it has some validity. Or if it is 10-year-old data, what the point in it? What the point in analyzing that? Because by 10 year, things would have changed like anything. So now everybody has a tablet with them, right? So 10 years back, tablets were very rare. Of course, smartphones were there, tablets were not there. Today, tablets are there. So the entertainment industry also changed. We have Netflix, we have Amazon Prime, so many things are there. So this is how, I mean, I'm highlighting this because this is the pace at which our generation is moving. So therefore, data should be very relevant, and that will be relevant only when the time and space that it has covered is very recent one. Okay, that means very recent data collection will only be relevant for any kind of research publication. Precision, yeah, you should know exactly what you're going to do, what will be the parameters, what will be the statistics, and all these things. Researchers' experience, yeah, it all come with the level of knowledge. Control, how well you can control. All right. So types of research. So you can see experimental research design and non-experimental research design. So again, you have true experimental design, quasi experimental design, pre-experimental design, non-experimental design. So basically, normally broadly it is explained in two terms. That is, one is experimental design and non-experimental design. Anybody you go and ask, no one will ask you whether you're doing quasi-experiment or pre-experimental design. They will only ask you whether it is experimental or non-experimental. All right. So all these things are within this framework where you can tailor make anything. All right. True experimental designs are the actual experimental designs where you are actually seeing the impact on a particular, for example, the level of problem solving skill in one group is studied before they were trained in that, and then after they were trained you are going to assess once again. That is called pre-test and post-test control groups. All right, where what you do is you have two groups, and in this pre-test and post-test, what you can do is you have one group in this specific example. In this specific category, you have one group of students where you are actually trying to find out their emotional or problem solving skills. You first randomly assign them into different groups. Okay, a random sampling will be done. Then you will administer a questionnaire to check or assess their problem solving skill, and you get a score. Probably you get a score, average score of one particular student. I'm just telling for the sake of understanding, to make it contextualized. 50. So now you have a module to administer, that is called a treatment. Okay, so this treatment word is derived from medical terminology, pharmaceutical terminology, pharmaceutical domain. So you are actually giving intervention. Intervention is nothing but treatment, and they are interchangeably used. This intervention is a module which will enhance your problem solving skills. And now I assume that after this there will be definitely improved problem solving skills, and I will give the test once again, and this test is called post test. All right, so that is why it is called pre-test and post-test control groups. Post-test only control group, see, that is self-evident. Solomon 4 group design, it is again the mixture of a post-test and pre-test. All right, so there will be 4 groups, and 4 groups will be administered with different combination of treatment. Moreover, in psychology, we don't use that as frequently. It's actually a medical in medical field. This Solomon 4 group design is used extensively. Then coming to the quasi-experimental design, it's a non-equivalent control group. So where you don't have equivalent where you don't have equivalent number of groups. All right, so it's again based on your purpose and based on your accessibility. You would go for immediate intervention, where you now already know that the impact of social media has increased the voting rate. All right, this already you know. So now you go to the field and you just randomly check for different groups, and there you will try to assess whether they have so much exposure exposure to social media, and then whether there is any correlation between that. Okay, that is called quasi experimental, where you are not actually doing the entire experiment. There is no pre-test, post-test. You are only going and doing sudden intervention. So you are actually checking the sudden phenomenon, that's all. So then time series is mainly used in the field of economics and social development, where especially when you are trying to um, figure out the rate of change of economic development, you would go to you would resort to certain research designs, where at different time intervals you will conduct the test, and that is again quasi, because you can't use people. You can only do the you can only analyze the documentation that you already have in terms of development. So that is time series. And there is another angle to this is, you can club this with um, a longitudinal design, research design, where you will use both in terms of space and in terms of time. So basically, longitudinal research design is used extensively in economics as well as developmental psychology, where you actually want to check the growth and the variation in the growth level, physical, psychological, and cognitive growth level among adolescents. So in such situations, you use time series, and not exactly time series, but you club at times. You use longitudinal research design. And then coming to the pre-experimental design, it is like pilot study you do. So one shot case study, one group pre-test or post-test study. So where actually one case study will not reveal you anything. But you are actually, when you know that the research is highly extensive and demanding, you might go for a pilot study, especially when you're not sure with your tools. So like, for example, now you want to um, assess spiritual intelligence. Now you don't have any proper scale, established scale to assess spiritual intelligence, but you have an idea. So then maybe you would choose ashramas, you would choose some seminaries, wherever, I don't know. But on the basis of the availability and on the basis of your random creative knowledge, you would go for a particular group to know them in terms of their spiritual intelligence. So here you can go for one short case study, one group pre-test or post-test study. Like, for example, you might test individuals who before joining a seminary and after joining a seminary in terms of their spiritual intelligence. So this is pre-experimental design, but this design will not help you to come to any conclusion for the entire population. But however, this is also part of experimental design. Non-experimental design, as the name itself suggests, they are studied as they are. Okay, so you are not actually you can straight away go and generalize that to everybody, because you are not selecting samples. See, non-experimental design, what happens? There is no randomness. So random simple sampling is the fundamental you can say foundation stone of any experimental design, any scientific research design. But here you have not gone for any randomness. Therefore, it is specific case to case analysis of the phenomenon, where you can go for survey, where you will go for correlational study, historical study, comparative study, methodological study, case study, need assessment study, and all these things. So the main thing, survey, everybody knows. Correlational study, it is one important thing I just want to highlight. The correlational study will not tell you anything. There are many people misconceptions. Even the experienced scholars have this misconception that correlational study will establish a relationship between two phenomena. No, it is only in principle, they are discussed whether positive correlation, negative correlation. It doesn't mean that if something is positively correlated, doesn't mean that both are related in any way. Okay. So therefore, correlation is a study which will tell you whether these two can be put together in our upcoming research. Like for example, like you marry after graduation, and your marital life will be very normal. Okay, this is what the hypothesis that you have. Now you don't know whether they both are both are interdependent, but you just want to see whether they are related. Okay, they could be the first step. I'm not saying that they cannot be, you cannot use this finding, a correlational finding, in order to generalize something. But just on the basis of correlational study result, you can never establish any result, establish any conclusion scientifically. You're only just checking whether both of them somewhere along the way can be put together for the test. Okay, so that is called correlational study. And then coming to historical study, we don't use it. Normally we don't use historical study. Apart from reviewing the old theories, we will never use historical study because it is it is again digging the history, like how this would have happened, why this has why the particular theory is speaking this, why psychodynamic theory is like that, why Freud came to this conclusion. These are all historical study. So when you're doing review work, you might use this, not otherwise. So comparative study, in order to compare, methodological study, case study, need assessment study, field study, evaluation study, developmental study. So now at this stage, you are all at the BSc honors, and some of your scholars and some of the teachers, you all know the fundamental meaning of these words. So they represent what they actually mean. So this is just as simple as that. So under experimental design, you have informal experimental design, formal experimental design. So before and after without control design, after only with control design. So I'll just give you a glimpse of what is control and without control. Okay, so control in the sense you are able to control. So let us take two variables. We'll not discuss about any other variable. There are many confounding variables in terms of extraneous variable, irrelevant variable, and all those things. I will not get into that. That is another domain per se. But I will only talk about independent variables and dependent variable. So this independent variable, dependent variable, both these terms are derived from mathematics. You should know this. So statistics has immense influence on scientific research, especially in behavioral science like psychology. So the control variable is one where you have the control. Like for example, you want to study the learning of a student. So now, how do you study the learning of a student? You will study the impact. You want to study the impact of teaching method on learning. Okay, so now the impact of teaching method. So different teaching methods are there. They are experimental variables where you change them from one method to another method, and then you will see the change in the control variable. That is the learning. Learning is controlled. You are not in no way learning is being impacted by any other means. Learning is only being impacted by whatever you are manipulating. That is your teaching method. So teaching method is something where you are actually changing the methods from, suppose you have three methods, you are changing from one method to second method to third method. That is why it is called independent variable, and it is also called as experimental variable. So control variable is this. So before and after without control design. So this is what they are talking about. So you are using, you actually manipulate control variable groups and you know, experimental group. Okay, experimental group are those groups which I'm sorry, experimental variable are those variables which you can actually manipulate, like for example teaching methods. Control variables are those variables which are under your control, like in the case of learning. All right, so then you have formal experimental design, completely randomized design, randomized block design, Latin square design, factorial design. So under that, then again you have two group sample randomized design, random replication design. See, completely randomized design in the sense you just select all the sample randomly. Okay, so this is all about completely randomized design. So then you can compare this with the random simple random sampling, stratified random sampling, anything. So randomized block design. So you will make blocks as usual, like we discussed in stratified sampling, we discussed in cluster sampling. You have already blocks, and you have already made blocks, and now we fill the blocks with the samples. That by means of randomization. So Latin square design is another type of design. Then factorial design you have. So where you actually, when it is more than two independent variables, or you are testing one independent variable in terms of like teaching method. I have told you, teaching method is one independent variable, but it has three. For example, in this case, three types of teaching method. So that means there are three levels to this independent variable. Here, independent variable, as I said, teaching method. So teaching method has three levels. One is computer-based teaching. Another one is blackboard-based teaching. Another one is online teaching. I mean, okay, whatever it is, internet teaching, whatever it is. So these are the three levels of teaching method. And independent variable, that is a teaching method, is one, but three levels. So there factorial design comes into the picture. So two factorial designs are there, three factorial designs are there. So that is normally extensively used in psychology. There are simple factorial design, complex factorial designs also are there. So basically, you need to become familiar with the research activity, then only you'll be able to understand them clearly. So then I think we have discussed these things. So true experimental design, post Solomon 4 group. So these are all the things I have already shared in the group. Like non-experimental designs, survey design and all we have discussed. I think okay, now let's go for the question and answer, because almost all the things I've discussed. So we'll go for the question and answer session.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
It was indeed a wonderful and informative session. We've been receiving excellent feedbacks from the participants. Sir, I really liked the way you presented your topic. Like within such a short time, you summed up everything. And I liked how you give example for each and every topic. That was like very remarkable. So thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Then now it's time for the participants to take the real benefit of this workshop by getting your doubts cleared. As I already mentioned, doubts should be posted via chat box and only a selected number of questions will be answered by the resource person. So let me go forward with a doubt clarifying session. So sir, the first question is, how far hypothetical population gets along with the features of true sampling?
I just reframe the question. So you are actually saying whether there can be any reality when it is even if you have hypothesized the population, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So if I understand, suppose you are sitting here and you are just imagining, hypothesizing that no online education might impact children very badly. Your hypothesis. So whether you can really find such things in reality, whether you can really go for before that, in order to find out the reality, you have to go for the sampling, right? You have to figure out the population. So you will figure out the population. That is tricky. You will go to that you will define that population which is actually undergoing online classes. Therefore, you will now again you will cut down to the size, and then you will concentrate on particular area. Then you pick up the sample, then you make the research design. So this way you actually bring your hypothetical research idea into the reality, and that can manifest this way.
Okay, sir. So the next question is, are sampling frame and universe the same?
No, they are different. Universe or the population will have suppose you want to check whether um, all the citizens of Bangalore is happy or depressed in due to lockdown. Okay, during lockdown. So then what you do is it's difficult for you to go out and interview each one of them, given the limitations. I will not get into this debate. Then what you do is the very convenient way is you take up the directory, telephone directory of the Bangalore city, and you start calling them up and you try to interview that. So this now all the sampling units are already there in the directory. Okay, here sampling units are none but the citizens of Bangalore city. Okay, the residents of Bangalore city. These residents of Bangalore city are anyway their contact numbers, address are available on the in the telephone directory, and this telephone directory therefore becomes sample frame. From sample frame, then you pick up some there will be again same number of people will be there, maybe 1 lakh, and you cannot call everybody, so you will pick up 100. So this will become sampling from the sampling frame. So therefore population is different. Population is in the directory everybody's name may not be there. Those people who only have a telephone connection, their names will be there. So therefore entire population will be not there, but the population's representatives will be there. On that representative you can be reliable. So therefore that is called research frame. And population is different because population covers everybody. Those who don't have telephone connection also will be the population, but the telephone directory will have the connected people. That's all. So that is why it is called research frame. So from research frame, for your convenience only you are taking. Otherwise, you will directly go for population.
Okay, sir. The next question is, can non-probability sampling ensure accuracy to our result?
Um, Non-probability sampling is it's not recommended because it is very difficult for you to generalize. Like for example, if you I would give you a real life example. United States of America, this is very much psychological. You should understand this. Psychology is not only about anxiety and depression, so it is just a part of it. In America, everybody said, everybody in the sense who the news media said, um, Trump is not going to be the president. Trump is not going to win. Hillary is going to win. So till the previous day, it was Hillary who was about to win, according to the media. But when result came, Trump was victorious. So what do you call for that? So it is all about when people are not aware about the sample, and there was only biased sample that those people who are elite class, they came out in the media and they expressed they were part of the survey. But those people who are actually the labor class, they were in America, they never used to vote actually. So when this Trump phenomenon happened, all these plumbers, drivers, and all these people came out and voted, in fact. So you didn't take you didn't account the other population, but you only took the elite. So there was a bias. So non-random sampling, non-probability sampling has this risk. You cannot trust the non-random sampling. Non-probability sampling, same, both are same actually.
Okay, sir. So the next question is how to choose a sample frame.
It's very interesting and tricky question. It is based on, again, so here the research knowledge will come handy to you. Sample frame is formed only when you know that you have no access to the actual population. You understand? Now you have you want to understand the uh, you know emotional stability of transgenders. Then what do? Can you go to, is there any population of transgenders? No. Population of Indians, you can somehow, you can theorize. But population of transgenders, in terms of reality, you don't know how many transgenders are. Who has taken their count? Some are vocal, some are not. So in such situation, those people who have already enrolled themselves as transgenders, and that report you get, if you could get access, that becomes research frame. I mean, sorry, sample frame. So from that you will proceed with your research. Otherwise, it is impossible for you to search for transgender. How do you search a transgender? I know many people who want to be addressed as a you know um, a man or a woman, but on record you won't find them. So it's very difficult. That is why sample frame is formed. Sample frame could be any document or anything that can be authenticated. That is sample frame.
Thank you, sir. So let me wrap up with this doubt clearing session. Once
All right.
again, thank you, sir, for giving us your valuable time and teaching so many research scholars and academicians. It truly gives a reflection of your great experience in this vast field of research. We hope that you guide more and more students in the future. I also thank all the participants for actively taking part in this doubt clearing session. So now I kindly request Mr. Sanath Thomas, Assistant Professor, Yuvakshetra Institute, to kindly address the gathering.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Thank you so much, sir. You have made an outstanding presentation for us on the topic research design and sampling methods. I felt you addressed the subject with openness, honesty, and sensitivity. I believe many of us now understand the seriousness of this topic and how to deal with it much better. So I would
Thank you,
like
Mr.
to share,
Thomas.
and so I would like to share my sincere gratitude to Raghav sir for his wonderful presentation and time. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sanath, sir. Now, I kindly request Thomas Gutti Philip of third year BSc Psychology to kindly present the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to all. It's my pleasure to thank our resource person, Mr. Raghavendra Prasad Shetty, for his wonderful session. It was very informative and interesting. Thank you for spending your valuable time with us. Next, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Assistant Program Coordinator, Ms. Ashwati M., Assistant Professor of Psychology Department, for the welcome address. I also would like to thank our Vice Principal, Reverend Dr. Lalu Olikar, for the enlightening message. I also hereby express my sincere gratitude to our management, HOD, Mr. Jit George, and our program coordinator, Mr. Sanet Thomas, for making this event possible. And I also thank each and every one of you for your active participation and cooperation throughout the session. Thank you all.
Thank you, Thomas. Learn from yesterday. Live for today. Hope for tomorrow. The important thing is to never stop questioning. With this beautiful thought by Einstein, let me wind up the session. Thank you for attending this session. See you all tomorrow in the same workshop with Dr. Sandeep Kumar, who will be handling the session on tools and techniques on data collection. Kindly mark your attendance before 6 p.m. The link for the attendance has already been posted in the chat box. Have a great time ahead. Now let us all kindly exit the meeting. Thank you.
Participants, please try checking the link again. It's available now. Thank you.